Hello, and if you are joining us for the first time, welcome to the Canting Club. This week we have for you an Australian Riesling, the unassumingly titled BlancPlonk, made by cult winemaker Gary Mills at Jamshed Wines in Victoria. Most of the fruit used to produce this comes from the historic Garden Gully vineyard, where the vines are over a century old. It's famed for its high-intensity, high-acid Riesling and is usually used to make a much more expensive single vineyard bottling. But in 2014, Gary blended it with fruit from the Upper Goulburn nearby. And not just Riesling fruit. The label carries a warning that Chardonnay was also used in production, and traces of it may still remain. You're really not supposed to blend anything with Riesling, and least of all, Chardonnay. But this isn't the only rule Gary's broken with this wine. It was barrel fermented on full solids. That means that the juice was run straight after pressing into the barrels without having time to settle, so there's bits of skin and pip in there. And it was then fermented using its own natural yeasts from the skins of the grapes. After that, it was aged in those same barrels on its lees, the dead yeast cells, for 8 months. And then bottled without fining or filtration, although I can't see any gunk in mine and I hope there isn't any in yours either. This is all not what you're supposed to do with Riesling, which is normally fermented and aged entirely in stainless steel to preserve its aromatic qualities. It's much more what you'd expect from a white Burgundy or similar oaked Chardonnay. One of the effects of this unusual treatment you can see immediately in the colour. It's quite a deep lemon yellow, whereas a young Riesling like this would normally be very pale. This is, I think, a consequence of the extended skin contact it's had on those full solids. So, let's see if it tastes as weird as its production methods. Give it a sniff. Ah, that's most definitely Riesling, and Australian Riesling at that. There's a characteristic nose of fresh limes that is really typical of Australian Riesling, and this certainly has it. It's also got a lot of pungent sweet spice in there, ginger and kaffir lime, and even ginseng. And as well as those limes, some tropical fruit, showing this is quite ripe. It's slightly off dry, which helps to balance the searingly high acidity on this. Your mouth should be watering round about now. This is unusual in Australian Riesling, which is normally bone dry, but I think it's necessary here to balance the wine. There are exuberant fruit in here of limes and those tropical fruits, papaya, and even a touch of banana, which is unusual in a Riesling and much more common on a Chardonnay. Just gorgeous. And as it moves on into its longish finish, you'll notice the banana returning and ginger and a honeyed note, which is very typical of Riesling. This is an absolutely lovely wine. I've been desperate to do you an Australian Riesling, but I wasn't expecting to do one quite this unusual. But I love this, and I hope you do too. Cheers.